In today's video, we're going to check out things we learnt from Chelsea versus Manchester City. Yes, it was a loss, but there was a lot of positives to take from this game, and we're going to go over them today and speak about the tactical intricacies we saw in this game. As always, let me know what you thought of the game down in the comment section below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. This was the team that Chelsea put out to start against Manchester City. Sanchez between the sticks. Then we had Cucurella, Colwill, Fofana and Gusto as the back four. Lavia in the six. You could say with Enzo and Caicedo as the two eights. Obviously, some people would see it as Caicedo alongside Lavia and Enzo in the 10. Then you had Nkunku off the left, Palmer off the right and Jackson up front. The image on the right shows how it looked in possession, forming that Caicedo-Lavia pivot, as I said. Gusto pushing a lot higher forwards to create that 3-2-4-1 and provide the width so Palmer could drift inside. Here are a few examples from the game. This one showing again that deep double pivot of Caicedo and Lavia. Lavia getting the ball on the half turn from the goalkeeper, again forming that makeshift back 3/back 4 with Cucurella pushed up high as well. Gusto, you can see just at the top there in the red circle. He was there providing width early on, pinning the defenders back so Palmer could come inside to receive the ball. This image just shows a few examples of relationships on the pitch. Of course, you had Caicedo and Lavia again there, deep in the possession to cover the transition if the ball does break. You have Palmer and Gusto forming that little connection out wide where Gusto can provide more width and Palmer can come inside. Enzo playing in that more advanced midfield role, so often in that number 10, playing off of Jackson, and then Cucurella coming on the outside so that Nkunku can drift slightly infield. But as I said in the preview coming into this game, I did expect to see this 3-4-4 build-up, especially in that first phase of build-up from the goalkeeper. Sanchez, Colwill and Fofana creating that back three at the back, as you can see there. Then you have Cucurella and Gusto pushed up high with the two pivot players, Caicedo and Lavia, to create that next line of four. And then you have the next line of four with the attackers, but Enzo dropping in deeper to stretch the defence and again pin and distort the heights of the defenders for Manchester City to open up gaps and space for others to run into and receive the ball. Second thing I wanted to talk about was the suboptimal positions and roles of players. And I think all of these sort of intertwined and ended up not being able to get enough out of each and every single player's profile. The first one to mention is, of course, Nkunku playing as that left winger. And again, you'll see this in a second when we get onto the carry statistics here. You didn't get enough of the carrying until you got someone like Neto, a more natural left winger on the pitch. Again, from having Nkunku out wide, you lose his presence in the middle of the pitch. Having Enzo Fernandez playing higher up as a 10, again, not his best position. Received the ball in between the lines a few times, but it's not his absolute best position to affect the game. He's actually better at progressing the ball through the lines for somebody else to do something within the attacking third on the half turn. Again, I just think the lack of carrying that this team and this balance provided within this team, having Nkunku out wide, you miss that carrying prowess, especially in those 1v1 scenarios out wide, same as Palmer. And bringing Neto into the game, it really gave a spark out wide for those 1v1 isolations. Again, Enzo being so far advanced, you don't have a player that's as natural at receiving and turning towards goal. So with an instinctive ability of what they want to do next, Enzo's much better when he's facing play rather than with his back to it. But overall, these are balance issues that can easily be rectified. And I think it was more so to do with getting Lavia, Caicedo and Enzo on the pitch to try and sustain pressure, which we did really well. Now, I have to take some time in this video to wax lyrical about Romeo Lavia and how good he was in this game. The press resistance he offers in the middle of the park for Chelsea is just unbelievably important, especially against a team where you want to entice their press. And this is what Maresca wants us to do. He wants to entice the press and then play through it. And Lavia has every single aspect in a midfielder, and especially a number 6, to be able to do this with press resistance and progression. As mentioned earlier, his ability to use his body to absorb pressure even when somebody is pressing on his back. He can then turn them, use his ability on the half turn. He can carry the ball forwards. He can progress with his passing. And again, he did this on multiple occasions. And then his out of possession qualities as well, winning the ball back and the sheer amount of duels that he can contest in the middle of the park to protect that back line. Now for my favourite positive of the entire video, look at those territory percentage numbers. This is something I was crying out for last season, the ability to slow down the tempo of the game, control the ball and move up the pitch in segments as a team to ensure that we can create territory and dominate territory on the pitch so that we can sustain possession in the opposition half, have more touches in the final third and in the opposition half, and control more of the game in that area of the pitch. The positioning and the aggressiveness of Cucurella yesterday was the perfect example of what Maresca wants from his rest defence and the principles he wants within his rest defence. Then seeing the ground covering ability of Lavia and Caicedo in that pivot. I thought Caicedo didn't have a very good game, but just having them two in net as pure athletes and the ability to sustain possession in the opposition half with their aggression and duality in that midfield just allows you to sustain that possession and build territory. On screen now is a few of the territory percentage numbers from last season, and this shows that the style of play that we're implementing now is going to allow us to increase that territory percentage, and as I say, it will have an overall impact on the chances we can create and the dominance we can exert on a game. Now to tie in one of the other points, which is the need for a box dominator. And this ties into that fourth point, because when you're sustaining pressure in the opposition half, you're going to find yourself in zone 14 and the half spaces more often as you pin teams back and you find passes into those danger zones. And as much as I like Jackson, and I always call him out, and I think he's got so many qualities that I think we need in the squad, and I think he's still going to have an amazing future at the club, it's passes like this from Cole Palmer, clever little precise passes into the box, where a box occupant striker can take that ball under control, can bring that gravity towards them, can lay it off to another player, or can finish that chance themselves. Of course, this isn't the only example. There's balls into the box where they can attack it with their head, and this is what something like an Osimhen would give to Chelsea, gaining more box touches. Here's Jackson's touches with 4 touches in the box, one of them being that shot in the second half, and 2 of them being failed touches. So this just shows the lack of box touches that Jackson can give you during a game, and you want this to increase to allow the team to thrive even more so when you're pinning teams back. Number 6, I just wanted to speak about our counter press a little bit. I thought it was actually really good, especially in the first half. The intensity to win the ball back and create these little things that I like to call counter pressing nets around the ball, where they're close proximity. Again, the distances are nice and close so that when that ball does break, you've got enough players there to work and win the ball. And again, it's not just about creating those nets, it's then about having the intensity and the personnel with the personality to do that. And someone like Cucurella, Caicedo and Lavia, those 3 are perfect for rest defence and for counter-pressing systems. So those 3 were perfect for that role yesterday. And it really did show, especially in that first half, winning the ball back a lot in dangerous areas, especially, as I said, when sustaining possession and making those counter-pressing nets. Lastly, I thought it'd be worth just touching on the block manipulation from City and how they did that. This is coming against the best team in the world with the best coach in the world, so they are always going to find a way to play around you. Again, with our back 4 staying so narrow in the way that you can see on screen here, one of Lavia or Caicedo in that pivot, depending on which side it was, would have to drift out to basically accompany some of the very good movement from Manchester City's midfielders and that of Rico Lewis. So it caused a lot of drift and often those +1s in the overload to allow City to get into position. This didn't help having a few people like Nkunku on that left wing who weren't quite doing their job out of possession. Again, not really his role, so it's less of a fault of his own, more, again, tactical personnel and trying to get things correct and who can do what job to the highest level. But it is important to know that they did find ways to get around that block, and it was essentially by dragging one of the pivot players out to press the ball and then basically having one player in the middle of the pitch protecting that back 4 on their own. So there was space either side of that pivot player to attack, and Doku did that very well, cutting inside. So what did you make of the game? Please do let me know in the comments down below. As always, if you've got any questions, I'll try to get to them in the comments. So please do leave a comment down below. Please do drop a like, because it really does help out me and the channel and everything as I try to improve all the content going forwards and bring better and bigger things to the channel. So as I said, please drop a like, please subscribe, and I'll be back with another video very soon.